It is Tuesday, January the 9th. This is Oliver Friesen, the CEO of Golden Metal Resources. And today we announced some very exciting new results from our 100% owned Garfield project. We've discovered a high grade zone, gold zone called the Pamlico Gold Zone, which we now have acquired the claims for. So the Garfield project has grown once again. And one thing I've mentioned in a few interviews over the last few weeks and months here is how Garfield continues to move up the value curve. And before we get into the results that we announced today, I'm going to walk everyone through the different steps that we've taken here and how this asset has grown from a very small footprint to what we have now, which is a very considerable copper, gold, and silver system. So what you're looking at here is a black outline, which is the original claim boundary that we acquired back in 2021. And you'll see that it covers, and before I get into that, sorry, on the left here, you'll see the different layers I'm turning on, but I'll talk about what they are. But what we're looking at here is a historic trench. The grades here, this is copper that you're looking at. So this is 21,000 part per million copper, so up to 2.1%. So some really interesting copper grades in trench here, and there's some strong skarn and porphyry type mineralization that have been found in this area. So we were interested in this district. We love Nevada. We were looking to build out the Golden Metal Resources portfolio. This was very much a kind of a secondary asset, one that we'd look to do a bit of work on and see if we can add value. And that's exactly what we've done. So just zooming out once again, this is the original footprint. And so what we did is we were able to acquire a historic data set back from 2014. And I'm going to turn that on now. So what you're looking at here are copper rock results. Anything that's a dark orange box is greater than 0.5% copper up to 5.5%. So flipping that on, you'll see that there was some samples taken outboard of this main Garfield. It was called the Garfield Trench. And you'll see that we had up to 2.5% copper and some additional showing. So the footprint already is growing. We have, a few hundred meters of mineralization. But more importantly, what we did is we zoomed out, and there was a very few samples that were taken outboard of the main Garfield area, but they returned some very high grade copper up to 2.6% here in what is now considered the power line zone. And then down to the southeast here, you'll see up to 5.5% copper. And what was interesting here is on the satellite, you can see this kind of this bleached, what we call bleached as alteration. So it's a type of alteration that you'll see in these porphyry and skarn type systems. And so we were looking at these samples taken from a much larger bleach zone and thought, okay, there's something interesting here. So what we did is we grew the asset. So we staked some additional claims, and you'll see what I'll just quickly flip these on. So that's what the project then became. This, I believe, is late 2021 or into 2022 now, and you'll see I'm going to flip off the original. Now we've covered a much larger footprint. What we did is we just kind of slapped a few claims over these areas. But we didn't know too much at that stage. Wanted to get a bit more information before we went and staked the whole area. But we covered these high grade results here to make sure that we had those under our control. And then we started to look outboard of that. We looked at maybe doing some geochemistry, but really it was this footprint here, and we found we did some Aster satellite data, which showed a very broad zone here. So we figured this isolated copper zone probably extended further beyond what we currently had acquired. So we went and preemptively we staked additional claims. So there's the original, these three blocks here, and then we tied them all together. And as you can see, the focal point here was on this much larger bleached footprint, because that's an area that was certainly of interest to us. So we went and we did our soil sampling late in 2022 and 2023 to see kind of how all these different zones were tied together. And sure enough, we found a very coherent footprint across this entire area, as we were expecting. And thankfully, our claims covered that in totality. And what we did after that is we actually looked at the data set in more detail and determined that there was not only skarn type affinity, but porphyry as well. Now, porphyry systems are probably one of the most important sources of copper worldwide. But the important thing to note about copper porphyries, and there's multiple within this belt within that we're located in Nevada, but you find typically a bit of gold, a bit of silver, but the focal point is certainly the copper. As you can see, 5.5% copper is very high grade, but you're looking for maybe, 0.2, zero point 0.3, zero point 0.5 gram per ton gold, and then maybe a few grams a ton silver, which are kind of what are considered kickers. So you mine for the copper, but the gold and the silver are also payable, and those kind of improve your economics. So we're looking for, anything half a gram per ton gold, we'd get pretty excited about. But what really blew us away, and what we did after we discovered this much larger coherent anomaly here at what's now called the high grade zone, is we went and we did some rock sampling towards the end of 2023 to start to see what the grades are within this much larger zone. Obviously, very little rock sampling done as of that stage. And so I'm going to turn on the 2023 results now. And we've put out these results, but we didn't include a map. And this is because we were busy at work acquiring additional ground. So we had to sort of be, very thoughtful about what we were putting out to the market. But we put out those results and we told you sort of where they were. But now you'll see exactly where these results fall within the broader project. I'm just going to move a bit to the right here. So the squares are the 2014 results. And there's 2023. And as you can see, exactly what we were thinking, which was this bleach zone represents a much larger footprint of mineralization. And that's exactly what we found. So 5.5, 2.9, these are the original rock samples from 2014. But, we went in here, I think we took about 30 or 40 rock samples. So not a ton, but we got boots on the ground. We did a few days, did some mapping as well, which is really important. But as you can see here, 4.3%, 3.2%, almost 2%, 2%, 2.4%. And the important thing to note here is the consistency of the high grade copper. It's not like it's all scattered in one little area. We're seeing consistent high grade copper across at the high grade zone alone, almost, well, just over 1.5 kilometers, consistent high grade copper. And remember the gold and silver that I mentioned. We're not expecting much because of the type of the system that we're looking at. But I'm now going to turn off the copper. Now, these are the same, I'm showing the same rock sample results. I'm just now prioritizing for the gold results. So you'll see it's exact same locations. 2014 is going to go off. But now I'm showing the results for the gold results for those same samples. And as you can see, a dark yellow star is anything greater than 0.25. That's kind of the grade that if you're in a porphyry, you start to get interested in is anything above 0.25. And look at some of these gold results. I mean, this is 27.2 grams per ton, which is not a grade that you expect in these type of environments. But once again, you see the consistency of this high grade gold, which coincides and adds value to the copper. But sure enough, if we zoom out, that's exactly what we did once again. And we saw some additional zones that were of interest. And I'm going to zoom out here, and you'll see down here one area. It's called the Pamlico Gold Zone. This is the new Bedrock discovery that we mentioned or we highlight in today's RNS. But we sent a guy down here to spend probably an hour just grabbing some samples, anything he could from kind of the side of the road. And sure enough, I mean, this is pretty impressive. To grab 5 samples and every single one returns multi-gram gold. Here we have 5, this one's 5 grams per ton, 10 grams per ton, 7.5 grams per ton, 18.3 grams per ton, and 22.7 grams per ton. And once again, there's also some interesting copper and silver to go with these samples. So up to 1.9% copper, and we have over limit silver on 2 of those samples. So I'll just click on this sample here, and you'll see that some more details. So 100 grams per ton, so silver AG, that's over limit. Gold, 18.3 grams per ton, and then copper, 1.9. So that sample, when you look at the whole thing, I mean, that's a very, very impressive sample. So as you can expect, we were very busy over the holidays. It wasn't as restful as a holiday season as I would have liked, but the value that we're able to add here by acquiring this additional ground was too good to pass up. So we had to make sure we did it. So we had boots on the ground over the holidays, getting these claims staked, getting these results. And so I'm going to flip on version 4 now. And this is today's footprint. So version 3 goes off, and there it is. You'll see the consistency of these gold grades. I'm going to flip off the gold and go back to the copper just to give you kind of the real picture here, the real story, and why we're so excited. As you can see, historic copper, new copper, the footprint now if we go from northwest to southeast, over 4 kilometers. 4 kilometers we have consistently mineralized, 2% here, 2.5% here. So you can see now how this asset has moved up the value curve, how important this new Pamlico gold zone is. And there's a lot of work to be done here to fill this in. But what we are left with is 100% owned, very high grade copper, silver, and gold over a 4 kilometer strike length near a town in Nevada. And the really exciting proposition that we have at Gold Medal is this is a complementary asset to our flagship, which is the largest tungsten deposit on U.S. soil at a time when geopolitical tensions are so high, and the importance of domestic homegrown defense metals is paramount. So Garfield, very exciting, a really great one to have in the portfolio. Copper is a commodity I'm very excited about. I think a lot of people are about the supply of demand fundamentals and where copper could go here as the world is very desperately in need of more copper discovery. So we're really happy with what we've done here. Where we go now is we're running the over limits for the silver to get a full geochemical suite for the Pamlico Gold Zone. We're working with one of our geochemists, Simon Griffiths, very well respected in the field, who worked on the geochemical results for us. So he's going to give us a full picture of where we go from here, and then we'll announce to the market as soon as we can the next steps. But really exciting one in the portfolio. Hopefully this video gives you a bit more color as to how this asset has changed from day one to where we're at now, and why it's one to certainly be keeping your eye on as things continue to unfold here. So make sure to check us out on Twitter, Golden Metal Resources, or our website goldenmetalresources.com. We're always posting new material. And I'll sign off here and look forward to announcing further updates from Garfield in the near future.